let's talk about the owl. So the owl, the process of the owl is very similar to that of the cat. However, I decided instead of just making flat stripes like on a tabby cat, what I decided to do is make more feathery things. So what I did is I cut my magazine paper to kind of look like, to make it look scalloped, to make it look like almost like waves maybe in the ocean, or, you know, what have you. The other thing is, though, friends, is you don't have to make them curly like that, all right, or round like that. You can also just make them square. Now, what I did is I just cut a nice thick piece of magazine paper like this. So this is how thick it was. When I first started doing it, I made it too thin. And what happened is that it was really hard for me to curl up these things right here. So I cut a nice piece of paper, a nice thick width piece of paper. And what I'm going to do, instead of making them curly, I'm just going to make some squares here, or some just more like rectangle-y shapes, just by cutting out little pieces. So you can do it that way, or you can make them rounded. It's all up to you. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to just keep going with that. And if you happen to cut through, it's not a big deal because we're going to be gluing it onto this. So, once again, I just started gluing my feathers on, and then I started curling them up. Now, you can curl them a little bit before you put them on, just by kind of rolling them over your pencil or your marker, all right? And that kind of helps create that curl, just like that. Now I'm getting ready to put on my last strip of feathers. So what I did before that, just like I did with the cat, is I kind of paper mache'd this newspaper all over it, so you wouldn't see like this, the seal that you see up here, so you wouldn't see that on the top. So what I'm going to do, the same thing, is I am going to take my glue sponge and I am going to just get the top edge of my feathers, just like that. You see how it's gluey there and not there? Well, I'm going to stick that on the front, and I'm going to just carefully move it around and just press as I go. All the way around, just like that. And these kind of overlap in the back, which is fine. And if they don't quite reach, you can always add a little bit more on. And then I'm just going to do some curling. Oops. Do some curling all the way around. Now, if you wanted to make even more feathery, what you could do is you could cut some strips in here after you have them glued on, and then you can make it even look more feathery. Ooh, I like the way that looks. I think I'll continue to do that. And once it's glued on, then you don't have to worry about cutting through, right? You can just cut away. And if you happen to cut a piece off, it's not a big deal because you have all these wonderful feathers on here. So, now you can add whatever kind of eyes that you want. Now I know owls have very big eyes. And I would have these flower magazines, these seed magazines, and I found these sunflowers. So I'm going to use these two sunflowers and glue them on. And once again, I'm not going to worry about pasting them completely on like this. I want them to stick off a little bit to really emphasize how big my owl's eyes are. Now, what I can do next is take my Sharpie marker, because as we know, waterproof markers do not work on magazine, and I am going to make the pupil. The other thing you could do is if you had some googlies, you could put those on, which are kind of funny. But I'm just going to draw I'm going to emphasize this right here. And I'm just realizing I kind of made a little mistake here. I probably should have done this before I stuck them on, because it's a little wiggly right now to try to draw this. So, but that's okay. You all learn from your mistakes. And then I'm going to make the pupil. And then once again, I'm going to color that in, but I'm going to leave some glimmer. And you guys, I just love how using something that's kind of textured like this in the middle helps kind of create the, you know, owls have so much pattern in them. It helps kind of create that cool pattern that owls have around their eyes. So I'm really a big proponent of finding some cool magazine or newspaper that you can use to create some color. So there's my owl's eyes. And now he's missing a beak. So I found some yellow paper. And, I mean, it doesn't have to be yellow, but I'm going to make a yellow beak. I'm just going to cut me a little triangle, just like that. Oops. The triangle's a little crazy. Alright. And I'm just going to stick that on. Now you could make it, this is a little bit of a thicker piece of paper. I could make it a little dimensional by sticking the tab of that up, or the point of that up, so that it kind of sticks out a little bit. Now the last thing I'm missing here, I better hold that for 10 Mississippis. The last thing I'm missing here are some wings. Now you can cut wings out of anything, right? You can cut wings out of newspaper, you can cut wings out of an extra toilet roll if you might have it. You could cut it out of some of those note cards, you could cut it out of a cereal box. But this is what I did. I found one of those note cards and I folded it in half. And then I drew the shape of a wing on here. And I did that because I like to have my wings the same size. You don't have to. Now, before you cut them out, you might want to color them. It's up to you, because it gets kind of tricky, as we've seen when I was coloring the eyes. It gets kind of tricky to color when the wings will be attached to the owl. You could color them with your markers, you could color them with your magazine paper. You guys, it's all up to you of how you want to color them. So, after I color them, I am just going to cut them out, and then I will attach them. Alright? So once my wings are beautifully colored, I'm going to stick them on here. Alright? Now, you can give them some dimension or have them stick out of the body by doing the same thing like we did with the cat's paws. I'm just going to add a little kind of fold here and then stick them. You could have them so he's going to fly and take off, or you could have him a little bit more calm. He's just resting or maybe looking for his next meal. It's all up to you how you want to attach those. So anyway, these are our first two things that we're going to be creating animals with our toilet paper rolls. So this whole week we're going to be trying different things. What you could do with these afterwards, you could make a kind of a cool mobile if you wanted to. You could just have them sitting as a sculpture. You could put something inside, something special inside, and steal it and have it like a special little thing as a little gift for somebody. It's all up to you of what you'd like to do. You could create a little village with these guys, along with your stick people. You know, there's just a bunch of different things that you could try. And if you have a different variation of how you could create a cat or an owl with your toilet paper rolls, then please share that as well. Anyway, I hope you are having a good start to your day. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. And I look forward to sharing more toilet paper crafts with you this week. Alright, take care.